Hello and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for April of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Okay, let's take a look at what's happening in April. Well, happy birthday, Aries. If you haven't gotten your yearly birthday reading yet, it's not too late to benefit from a thorough look at your solar return birthday chart. It tells you all about the year ahead, and it comes with fantastic affirmations you can use all year to create your best life. You'll find a link for it in the description below. Let's start with Ceres, which is retrograde right now in your 6th house. And I think Ceres likes to be in the 6th house, even though she's retrograde, which is making her a little bit grumpy. And you might notice the impact of that in your finances or your food. Ceres is a goddess of things earthly, the ways we connect to the material world. And she is the one in charge of our good stewardship of our physical lives. So she focuses very much on how do you eat? How comfortable are you in your own skin? How could you get more comfortable in your own skin? What do you value? And how do you manage your money? And when Ceres goes retrograde, any or all of those things might go awry, and you might find problems cropping up that you had ignored before, or that you were just moving too fast to pay attention to before, and that now you're required to go back and clean them up. So that could involve, looking over your budgeting. It's tax season, so it could definitely be connected with that. And, managing your money so that you can pay your taxes on time, and that you're tracking everything that you need to track for that and staying organized around that. Ceres retrograde can also bring up a lot of themes to do with how you eat, how you nourish yourself, how you take care of your body and groom yourself for health and longevity. So any of those themes might really crop up. Ceres has been retrograde since early February, and it's going to be retrograde until early May. It began actually in Libra in your 7th house, and we talked about that in your February horoscope. If you didn't watch that, you might want to check it. And so Ceres is going to finish this up in early May, and it'll go direct before then. It'll go direct in Virgo, and then finish it out by moving back into Libra. The other asteroid goddess I want to talk about is Juno, and she's sitting here in Taurus in your 2nd house. Juno is the social maven. She is a networker, a matchmaker. She is the side of us that gets us into long-term committed relationships and contracts, contractual relationships, which can be business partnerships. Those are long-term committed relationships, really, if you think about it. And Juno's in charge of them, as well as marriage and other LTRs. So Juno in Taurus takes her into your 2nd house, where any planet that's traveling through your 2nd house is being told to get very grounded, to just get very solid. And so if you are partnered, this transit could be a clarion call to get more solid, more committed, more devoted, more loyal, more consistent about your relationship. Could that turn into a marriage proposal? Well, sure, why not? And if during this transit you feel that your relationship isn't very solid and doesn't have the possibility to be solid, well, that might make you think again about it, certainly. And if you are single and just dating, this could certainly cause you to want to deepen your commitment, or perhaps, cut bait. Now, Juno is going to leave Taurus and finish out your 2nd house. Oh, by the way, if you are in a committed partnership that involves money, such as a legal marriage or a business partnership. When Juno is in the second house, you might find yourself really needing to have some dialogues and conversations with your partner about the ways that your money interacts with the shared money, and how there might be healthy boundaries around individuals' money relative to the shared money. That would be a really good conversation to have here. Juno will finish out Taurus on May 1st and move on into Gemini. So we'll talk about that next month. Hey, Julia, what's up with Mercury, Venus, and Mars for the Aries of the world, especially Mars, perhaps, because that's Aries' ruling planet?
Yeah, well, Mars is going to be in your fourth house of family, home, and the past all month. So Mars is kind of a feisty planet. It can help you get a lot of stuff done because it's a planet of action, but it can also sometimes lead to conflicts and frustrations. So in the fourth house, the challenges of this positional month is not getting along well with your family members, including your parents, which are really focused on as being fourth house. This might be disagreements, this might be frustrations, and since the fourth house represents your physical home, maybe it's the people you live with as well. Now, Mars in the fourth can be excellent for getting a lot of stuff done at home, like working from home or getting a lot of home projects off the ground. So definitely try to focus more on the latter than the former when it comes to this month. Mercury, the planet that rules your mind, spends the first couple of days in your first house, where you might be able to articulate yourself better and make a good impression with your mind. But by April 3rd, Mercury is going to enter your second house of money and possessions and finance. This might be a time where you are really focused and thinking about how you can earn money. Maybe you're also thinking about your stuff, thinking of buying or maybe selling things. By April 21st, towards the end of the month, Mercury is going to go retrograde in this house, and this retrograde cycle is going to last until mid-May. So Mercury retrograde in the second means you might get a little bit screwed up in your bookkeeping around this time. This might be a time where you have to kind of go over your expenses, where you thought you had everything sort of all lined up, your ducks in a row when it comes to sort of money. Things might get a little squirrely in this department, especially around tax season. And you might also feel like you want to buy something or sell something and then go back over what you had previously thought. So definitely try to hold out around then. And then finally, Venus, the planet of beauty, she represents your relationship. She brings pleasure and luck wherever she goes. She starts the month in your second house of money. So this gives you a little bit of a financial boon, a little bit more money luck. Also, it's a very sensual transit where you want to be sort of living and feeling pleasure through all of your senses, because the second house Venus is exalted in. But by April 10th, Venus enters your third house. This represents your siblings. So even if you're not getting along with your parents this month, you will be getting along well with your brothers, sisters, and cousins, which is nice to know. The third house also represents your local community and neighborhood. So try to do a little bit of outreach to your neighbors, to the people who live close to you, the people who live in your town, because you could really just get a lot of joy and pleasure this month from those types of connections. It's also a great time to take a little pleasure trip as well.
Hi, Jamie here. Before we continue, I just want to take a quick moment to thank you for watching this video. And if you're enjoying this content, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Our lowest tier starts at just $5 a month and gives you early access to these monthly horoscope readings. Your support helps keep this content free. The link can be found in the description box below. Thanks again, and let's get back to the video. Let's talk moons, starting with the full moon in Libra, which is happening right here in your seventh house on April 5th. We do tend to feel moons for a couple of days before and a day or so after. This particular moon we're calling Make Every Action Wholesome, which might come as a bit of a surprise if you know something about the nature of the moon in Libra. Libra is an air sign, and it's more cerebral. It's not very action oriented, But this moon in Libra, which is trying so hard to be diplomatic and nice and sweet and kind and relatable and personable, has to face off against the Sun, Chiron, and Jupiter over here in Aries in your first house. And believe me, Aries, these guys are really amping you up. And that's partially because, Sun traveling through your first house. If you're a Sun in Aries, well, this is birthday time for you, right? So you're really feeling your oats. And then we throw Jupiter into the mix and you're just like, amped up even more. So this is a very boisterous moon, which is tempered by the Libra placement of the moon itself. So making every action wholesome during this moon is really especially important for you to do, Aries, rather than, going off half-cocked. So let's talk about the second moon of the month, which is a solar eclipse in Aries. And that is happening on the 19th. You can see it right here, the sun and the moon together in your first house. And so an eclipse is always a pretty intense event among moons. Eclipses are moons. This one is a new moon with the sun and the moon together. And this is a particularly intense eclipse for a number of reasons, which we've explained in great detail in our video about it, which is on our monthly forecast page at pandoraastrology.com. But suffice it to say that the fiery nature of this moon in Aries and the feelings of newness and freshness and birth are intensified by it being an eclipse and a total eclipse to boot. So having this land in your first house is, I think, a real caution for you, Aries. And again, whether you are a sun in Aries or an Aries rising, you might feel like this eclipse drives you to behave in ways that are totally unconscious, that are just spring from shadow material. This is what Jung called it, stuff inside of you that's buried or hidden or that you just don't like to look at every day. And so you might find yourself acting on instinct and really misfiring during this moon and behaving badly and like alienating people. So watch out for that. We're calling this one volcanic actions tempered by sympathy. This is definitely a moon with potent actions being possible during this moon. And I think it's really important to, keep the leash on yourself and be thoughtful about how you direct that very potent energy, because it has repercussions that extend into the future of this life and even potentially future lives as well. So I think that's really important to consider before taking any actions during this eclipse on the 19th. The last thing I want to tell you about is the seasonal change, which happens the next day. Here, the sun moves into Taurus, which is your second house. And this is really representative of how this month there's just a grand migration of many placements in the beginning of the month in your first house here in Aries to, at the end of the month, a lot of that stuff moving on into Taurus in your second house. So the month begins with all of that Aries energy, giving you lots of drive, lots of force, lots of will, and clarity of will, which is wonderful, right? You love that as an Aries, knowing what you want and what the move is that you need to make and being able to strike in a perfect, pure moment of predatory proclivity. Having a little fun with alliteration. And that just feels so good, right? To have all those placements in Aries. And in the second half of the month, things slow down, maybe so much that you feel like you're slogging through mud. And that can be really frustrating. But it's also as nature's way of telling you that it is time to slow down. It is time to take actions that are a little bit more considered and to examine the path that you're cutting, as you carve your way through the jungle with the machete of life, to look behind you at the path that you're carving and ask yourself, is this a path that other people can follow? Aries does love to be followed and loves to play point on any team. So shining the high quality attention of the sun into the second house means bringing your attention off of your own actions and into the realm of second house matters, food, body, money, those series things that I was talking about at the top of the horoscope. And so slowing down and sorting through your finances, as Julia recommended, with that Mercury going retrograde and with Ceres being retrograde too, this is really how to spend the last third of the month.
If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share our horoscopes with your friends.
We make these horoscopes for you for free. And if you appreciate it, supporting us on Patreon is the best way to show it. Share our horoscopes with your friends too. Have a beautiful April. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.